All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Morning Cafe. And this morning, if you're just joining us, you think today is International Women's Day. Don't worry, it's all about women today. This Sunday, it will be International Women's Day. So it's just better to start it now. What do you think, Professor?
Excellent. That works quite well. Thank you.
All right, the conversation we are having this morning is a real issue. We are talking about youth unemployment and what could possibly solve this challenge that is currently affecting the nation, Kenya to be specific. Now, the country produces thousands of graduates each year, but youth unemployment remains quite high. Employers say, graduates lack practical skills, and on the other hand, young people say there are no jobs. So the question we're asking you on social media this morning is, can TVET private sector partnerships solve youth unemployment? Is it a job crisis or a skills mismatch crisis? Talk to us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 Digital. You can send us a video of yourself or a voice note on WhatsApp at 0793 267 279, and we'll be sure to read your feedback here to help us also talk about youth unemployment and what can be done to salvage the situation. Karibu sana, Professor Hilda Omai.
Asante sana.
She's the DVC Administration, Finance and Planning at Don Bosco Boys?
No.
No.
At Mary University of Science and Technology.
Absolutely. That is Professor Hilda Omai. She'll be taking us through the partnership that they have with Swiss Contact and, of course, with Don Bosco Boys, right? Or just tell us how you come in, because I know there is a partnership between Swiss Contact and Don Bosco, just to try and elevate the TVET and how maybe it could help in solving youth unemployment in Kenya. How do you come in, Prof?
So maybe not directly with the organizations that you have mentioned, but if I might just give a bit of a background of our university. So we are the Meru University of Science and Technology. We are in Meru, on your way to Maua.
Yes.
So there is another university in Meru, but we are the Meru University of Science and Technology. As a result, there is a focus on concerns of science and technology. So we are highly skill-based. So in that sense then, we do offer courses in certificate, in diploma, bachelor's of course, and postgraduate, but we do focus on students getting hands-on skills. So that is where the connection comes in with the issue of TVET. Right. That when you think about TVET, you're thinking about skills. You want people who are coming out of the institutions and they're able to fix your lights. They are able to sort out your plumbing concerns. They're the people who will design your houses and then make sure that the house is actually stable. We do have all those programs. So yes, we do have a section of the TVET. We are accredited to offer TVET programs. And then as a regular university, then we have the bachelor's and the postgraduate programs in our various schools.
All right.
Yes.
It's quite timely now that you're here, because there was also a question if now Kenya should shift focus from degree to TVET or to technical skills. What do you think about that? And I posted this question online, it had a lot of reactions, but being that you are now a DVC at a University of Science and Technology, what do you think about this? Should we now shift from degrees to technical skills?
I don't think so. I don't think I don't think that there is one solution to all the problems that we have. Degrees are important. It's critical that we have the universities running the various programs. Be it in education, in medicine, in engineering, at the degree level, and even at the postgraduate level. Similarly, we still need to have the certificates and the diplomas. Now, where the challenge I think comes is when we have the degree level and we miss out on the skills. So it is just really to retweak them, to look at what the degrees ought to give, that then it is not just theoretical. I think that is where the bigger challenge is coming in. That you find a number of times graduates are coming out of the universities. Yes, they're educated. Yes, they are knowledgeable, They have the theory, but very little of the skills. And now that is the gap that for us, especially as a University of Science and Technology, we are focused on a lot of that. Very practical, very hands-on. So yes, we will do the bachelor's, we will do the degrees, but we do them in a way that the graduates come out well-equipped, you know.
Do you think it's something that universities across the country are just trying to implement into their institutions, such that, you know, even now with the new curriculum CBE, it focuses more on skills and not theory, as you know, as it used to be with 844 system. You are a science and technology institution.
Correct.
Do you think this is something that universities across board, say universities in Kisumu, in Nairobi here, you know, in Eldoret, are trying to implement when we talk about skills, not just theory, even as we try and now make Kenya a more, you know, skilled-based curriculum?
Yes, I think universities are doing that. Partly we don't have a choice. We actually do not have a choice. You know, with the CBE, as you say, it has come in and there is a great focus on what you're able to do. What are the skills that you can come out of this education system with? So curriculums are being revamped. Some are being redone. Totally, we are reviewing curriculums in various universities, and we are infusing more the aspects of practicals. And you know, so students will be getting out with a lot of the practical skills. So naturally, some universities are ahead of others, but I should say that in general, yes, universities in Kenya are working towards that. You know, for us to
what do you think is the solution to the job and employment situation in Kenya? Time and time again, we've seen governments coming in, of course, you know, selling there, we will give you employment, we'll give you employment. But time and time again, we see a lot of Kenyans still sitting at home, a lot of graduates sitting in the streets of Nairobi. If you go somewhere, you know, somewhere they call a chill place, Jibanji. Even in Kisumu, everywhere, literally, you see graduates sitting somewhere. Some are even just selling mahindi choma, wanatembea na uji and all that. What is the solution to the job and employment crisis in Kenya?
I think one of the solutions is entrepreneurship. What is the problem in the society that you can solve? And how can you solve it? So that gives you an idea of what to do. I know there is a lot that has been said with regard to, I don't have the money for it. But there have been cases where you can clearly see that once you identify a problem, then you can get somebody to fund that particular solution. Look at industries, for example. So that is one of the things that we are doing at the university, partnering with industries. We are trying to solve some of the issues that they have, a concern of theirs. So let me highlight one of the programs that we have at the university. It is, we run an institute of cement and concrete. We are never going to stop building in this country, you know. Buildings are coming up everywhere. Nairobi, for example, you know, you drive around and there are tall buildings that are coming up. Cement is one of the things that is being used, and it's very expensive. So we have research at the university where we are exploring the possibilities of using clay, something that we readily have in this country, as an alternative to what is being used for production of cement. Now, that is a collaboration that easily works with the cement industry. It is a research that we are doing at the university, yes, but this did not start with there being money. It started with what is the problem in the society that we can look at. So yes, entrepreneurship helps us in that sense. So with our youth, I know many of them have graduated. Very many of them, of course, have their degrees, some even up to masters and PhD, and they're looking for jobs. I think that is the wrong perspective. Our jobs are limited. We are waiting for people to retire so that we can occupy those jobs, but that is not happening.
People are not retiring.
People started working when they're in their 20s. You're waiting for them to retire at what? 60, 65, then you take their job. By that time, you're also out of the market in that sense. So entrepreneurship helps with that a lot. And with the youth especially, I mean, I see that even at the university, very smart. They come up with a lot of things, you know. Before long, there is an app that does this and another app that does the other thing. And that is just out of their own initiative. And I think that is the way to go. You know, the whole concept of entrepreneurship. That when then they get mentored by people in the entrepreneurship space, by people at the university, and that is also one of the other things that we are focusing on at the university, that we have a section where we mentor youth, not only from the university, but we are going to be involving youth from the community as well. In concerns of entrepreneurship, how do you come up with a business plan once you have your business idea? How do you help to fundraise for your business plan? Because then it is a solution. How do you get connected to someone who's interested in the solution of the problem that you're trying to solve? Yes.
So if entrepreneurship is the answer to the job crisis in the country, then what really is the problem? Why aren't the youth rather just coming in to tap into this gap that is existing in entrepreneurship sector? What is the problem exactly? Is it lack of knowledge when it comes to entrepreneurship space, or really, even if say they start, then some say that they're not able to see their second year anniversary with whatever they've started? If say for example they said you are starting a chips business somewhere in town or where they live, or somebody is starting just say a clothes business somewhere in Gikomba, then they're not able to see their second birthday. So really, where is the mismatch really if entrepreneurship is the answer to job and employment?
I think it could be a number of things, but one of them, as you've pointed out, it could be lack of knowledge. That at the face value, business is great. You know, you think you will start a chips business, but you may not be aware of what that really takes. So then having someone to walk you through the process in terms of what you're talking about, the knowledge. How do I balance? You know, I buy potatoes for this much, I sell this much, so what is my profit margin? Then what am I going to put back into the business? Having that understanding. How do I cushion myself for tomorrow on a bad day? There's that. The concept of who else do I need to work with in order that my business flourishes. So that kind of knowledge. And also just people to help you think and explore different possibilities. Have you done your market survey properly to realize that yes, there is Tom and Peter and Mary and John who are doing chips, so do I need to also add chips? Or do I need to bring in something else like kachumbari if they don't have, which then people are going to eat with the chips, you know? So simple things like those, that at the face value, if we put in a bit of time and a bit of energy, helping the youth to figure that part out, then I'm sure they're going to be successful. Yes.
And you know, some time back there was this discussed online that, you know, if you don't have money in Kenya, then you're the problem, that you don't have the mind really to try and get the money. And this discourse stemmed from a lady saying that you could go to somewhere in Gikomba, get something at 30 Kenyan shillings, and then sell, it was a jacket, a denim jacket, and then sell that denim jacket that you got at 30 Kenyan shillings, revamp it to look something, you know, classy, and then resell it at 1,500 Kenyan shillings. I don't know what you think about that, you know, creating jobs in Kenya or getting money in Kenya has to do with the mindset that if you do not have money, then it's you're the problem. What do you think about that, Prof?
I don't think that is true. That not having money is solely the problem of the person who doesn't have money.
Yes.
We have to create an environment that allows people to have the mind frame to make that money. That now when you, like the example that you have given, I need to know who is going to buy a jacket at 1,500.
Absolutely.
In order for me to go to Gikomba, get it for 30 bob, then get somebody to give me maybe 200 shillings, you know, make it whichever way, and then bring it to you. So I need to know who this person is. So part of the problem is this connection, and that is what we are saying, that how then do we help our youth figure this connection and figure how to get this jacket and find you to buy it at 1,500. So I think blaming our youth that it is solely their problem, I think is not correct.
Right.
But allowing them to understand that it is possible for them to do it, I think that is the way to go.
Is the environment conducive for the youth to, say, just experiment with what they have or the information that is available for them? When you talk about entrepreneurship, then we say that there's hope, there's that business idea, that business plan to start it. But when you talk about environment, is it conducive? Is the government incentivizing these youth to be able to just excel in the industry?
I think it's trying. I think the government is trying to, as you say, to create an environment for that to happen. We could do more, even at the universities and in different organizations. We could do more in terms of helping the youth gain the skills. Because you see, like what you, the example that you give, I need to know what I can do with this jacket in order that I can sell it to you at 1,500. And that is the gap that is missing, you know, the skills. And that is where I think institutions like universities and TVETs come in, helping now the youth to develop those skills. And that is an area that the government is doing quite some work. I mean, in the recent past, if you notice, there's quite a bit of focus even on the TVETs, funding for university students, funding for TVET students. And that all is in the hope of these students are able to gain the skills so that then this gap is able to be filled. Yes.
All right, let's get some feedback, Prof, even as we continue this conversation. Sure. And I just want to remind you, our question of the day is, can TVET private sector partnerships solve youth unemployment? Yes. And even as we take a look at what the people are saying online, I'll be back to also pose that question to you, so that you can tell us what you think. Can TVET private sector partnership solve youth unemployment? Dibal, what are the people saying?
Yes, let's just find out what the feedback is on that particular interesting conversation you're having there. And we have James Mwangi. James Mwangi is from Nakuru, and he's saying, yes, most graduates lack practical skills. If companies are involved from day one, youth unemployment will reduce. This is James Mwangi from Nakuru. Faith Acheng is up next from Kisumu. And he says that, she says, that TVET is the future. Not everyone needs a degree. We need more plumbers and electricians than office workers. We have also Brian Motiso from Nairobi. It can work, but only if companies are genuine and don't exploit trainees as cheap labor. Up next, we have Anne Wamboy from Nyeri. And she says the problem is mindset. Parents still believe university is the only success path. That must change, she says. Also, we have Kevin Otieno from Eldoret. Private sector partnerships are good, but what about funding? He's asking a probing question there. Many youth can't afford even TVET fees. Let's now head over to X and get some feedback as well from X. We have Techie KE. At Techie KE, skill mismatch is a real crisis. Industry-led TVET is a bridge. We have also at Mama Mboga KE, if students are paid during training, that's a game changer. We have also Young Farmers 254. We need this model in agriculture and agribusiness too. This is what Young Farmers are saying. And also we have at Policy Watch KE. Scaling is the issue. Pilot programs are good, but can government roll these out nationally? Another problem question there. All right, let's also get some voice notes there from some of our viewers and listen in to what they had to contribute or maybe even ask problem questions.
Good morning, Monique, with Dubal Inia and Anodida. I'm from watching from Parklands. And yes, TVET and private sector partnerships can solve youth unemployment. This is because youth in Kenya face a skills mismatch problem, making them unfit for job opportunities. Many youth have degrees but lack the job skills. Therefore, through institutions regulated by the TVET authority, youth can train to acquire skills in areas the economy is actually demanding. Let's say, for example, welding, ICT, solar installation, automotive tech, and even agribusiness. The industry can also help in designing the curriculum so that institutions stop producing job seekers and start producing job-ready professionals. I can say skills pay bills, degrees don't guarantee jobs.
Right, that's promised. Thank you from Parklands. We have also video feedback there, so let's just listen in and look at what they had to say.
Good morning, Kef. This is Fred Okubasi from Umoja, Nairobi. I want to say this, Debal and Ann Ndumuli. The issue of TVET and private sector is a good merger because private sector, the TVET will produce students who are already having skills and who are already having knowledge of what they are going to do. So when the private sector is also empowered, these people will come from TVET directly to workplaces, or most of them will come from TVET and create their own private sector jobs. That is why TVET and private sector is a very crucial merger in this world.
Very incisive there. Contributions from our viewers. Thank you so much for making them come through. We shall be sampling most of them, of course, at the tail end of the program. But Anne, Odida, Ainea, Ndimuli, right? We hand over back to you.
Well, I knew you were going to say that. We are one big family. Now, from today onwards, the bar looks like Anne Ndimuli. Prof, let's just drop you in so that you can get the joke. Ndimuli is one of our co-hosts as well. No. Yeah, he's Fred Ndimuli. So the question we are asking once again, and of course our WhatsApp number 0793267279. Send us your voice notes and of course your videos. We'll be sure to sample them here. Can TVET private sector partnerships solve youth unemployment in Kenya? Prof, what do you think?
Yes, I think they can. 100%? No. As I said, there is not one solution for all of our problems. But it will go a long, long way to do that. When you look at the TVETs, you know, these are the places that, whether they be at the universities or purely the TVETs as they've been created in the past, this is the place where we're saying that we want people to have practical skills. And again, the universities are also moving towards that. You know, I know people are saying that degrees may not be as useful any longer, but that's not true. You know, we also need where we are generating this information as well. So hands-on. So really, it's more, I like to think of it more as a place to get the practical skills. So be it at the university or at the TVET. Then when you get to the private sector, we're saying that this is an industry that has specific mandates. There are things that they want solved. There's particular solutions that they want to bring to the community. There are products that they want to produce, services that they want to give. And who's to do that? Now, these are the graduates from the TVETs, from the universities. So once we have a proper match, and that's the thing I was talking about, that even when you're thinking about entrepreneurship, what is the market saying? And so what we are continuously doing is getting to collaborate with the industry and with the private sector to say, help us understand what you need. So what kind of skills do you need? What kind of graduates do you need? And then when we do our curriculums, so we do them in partnership, because it is not useful for me to get you someone who will say, get the jacket when you don't need the jacket, when actually what you need are shoes. So if that is what you need, then we are going to do our curriculums in that way. And also projecting ahead to say, yes, in addition to shoes, you're likely to need this, or somebody else is likely to need, I don't know, a hat. Then we produce that. So that partnership is critical, even at the inception stage for us in terms of our training. That then we are focusing on what is required in the market. And therefore, when these graduates get out, then we don't have, as you're saying, you know, them sitting at the chill places looking for jobs. because at that particular point, the focus is not to wait for you to get the job. You're already ready for the market, for the jobs that are available. But again, if that particular job is not available, if you're not going to be employed, you're going to self-employ. You're going to create jobs. You see, the example that you're giving of someone who's making chips, for instance, that is a person who at some point is going to employ very many people. And those people that are going to be employed by that person will be people who have the skills, people who are ready to serve in the various areas of that particular business. Yes.
You know, you talked about employing somebody who's selling chips, being able to employ other people.
Yes.
And I remember the conversation that we were having. Some of these small businesses say that one of the challenges they're having is taxes.
Yes.
That even before they get to a point where they're in a position now to, of course, pay taxes, before they make these profits, before they're able to even scale up their businesses to be able to employ this, you know, somebody who maybe serves or somebody who makes the chips, then the government is already there. They want their taxes. They want you to register your business. Then that's also a challenge for small businesses who are just starting up. How do we then solve this issue such that even, you know, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar? You know, when they are paying taxes, they also feel like the government is not just taking, but also just incentivizing their businesses. How do we solve that?
I think that is where, like we're pointing out, where the government then needs to step in and create an environment that allows for the businesses to grow. Yes, taxation is very high. Not only for businesses, even for those who are employed. At present, taxation is quite high. The government, of course, has to collect taxes for the various things. You know, roads have to be done. Medicine has to be availed in hospital and stuff. So we do understand the purpose for which taxes are needful. But then the government now, I think it is up to the government to help the youth and help businesses. Either lower some taxes, if that is possible, exempt some, you know, up to some level, that when you are new startups, what are some of the taxes that you can be exempt up to a particular level of business, then you're able to be put in that particular tax bracket. So there are things that I think the government can do, and it is true, as you're saying, with the small businesses. People are struggling to the extent that they're getting out of business, and which is not good.
And you know, we talk about TVETs now, also just championing for universities to go the TVET way. You say that, for example, Mary University is also incorporating TVETs into its curriculum, right?
Correct.
But we've also had this challenge where if you are a graduate of TVET, then most of the time you're looked down upon. And I've seen this on social media, that if you're a TVET graduate, then somebody who has a degree is seen to be better than this person who has, you know, a TVET, who is a TVET graduate rather. Then if that already is a challenge, say, in the job market, then how do we change that mindset for employers as well, such that being a TVET graduate, being a diploma graduate won't be a challenge for somebody who is getting into the job market as compared to, you know, a degree graduate given, what do we call it, given better treatment as compared to these other graduates?
I think it might take time, just because of the history of education as it has been. That for a long time, you know, once we started all this formal education and people going to university, then there was the division of those who have done really, really well make it to university. The ones with middling grades possibly go to TVETs and so on. So that is something that is historical. So over time, that has been carried over. And that is what I think one of the viewers was saying, that parents are still insisting that their children should go to university as opposed to TVET. But we are at a point where we are saying, yes, a university education is good, but what is better is for you to be able to do. So the work that you're able to do. So the TVETs are giving the graduates the skills to do that. So with time, I think even the industry is going to recognize that it is not so much what your certificate reads, whether it reads a TVET or it reads a university, it's what you're able to do in the space that we have given you. So if you want an electrician, for example, and you get one who's from the university and one who's from the TVET, and both of them are doing an excellent job, then well and good. If the one from the university is doing a better job, well and good. If the one from the TVET is doing a better job, that is the person that you want. So I think with time, the industry is going to help to correct that. Because these are the people who are using the skills. It is going to help to correct that. And that is where now universities are finding themselves that the theory is not sufficient. It is good to understand what is happening, but it is more that we should have these graduates have the skills. And that is why now we are bringing it into the university more forcefully than before. Yes.
So do you think maybe bringing employers on board into this curriculum would solve the problem, such that you know, if you're employing for whatever position you're employing, then as a business owner, then you're part of the curriculum in this TVETs, that when students start their first year in TVETs or universities, then you're also walking this journey with them, such that by the time they're done with school, then they are at that level where you want your employees to be at. Will bringing in employers at the very first stage of education solve the problem?
I think it will help in solving the problem. And that's why I said that we do collaborate with the industry, not just from the stage of we have our graduates, please take them, but from the stage of what is it that you need? What kind of graduates do you need? So that then we write and review our curriculums to match what is required in the market. And you see, so if we have done that, say, with a particular industry, and they know those are the graduates we are going to give. And we duplicate that with several other industries, and other universities do the same, and other TVETs do the same. That, I think, as you're saying, is one way of it solving the problem, where now the focus will not be what institution reads on your certificate. It's what are you able to do. I am looking for a plumber. So the skills that I need a plumber to have are the following. So do you have those, irrespective of what your certificate reads in terms of the institution? Yes.
And now, speaking of plumbers, there's this concern that I saw online. Why is the demand on plumbers quite high while degree holders remain jobless? What really is happening? Where is the gap? Like, people want plumbers, but degree holders jobless.
I think it's the skills. It's that skills gap. That for a long time, as you're saying, the degree holders, and that is where we are moving away from a little, is for a long time there has been a focus on the theory at the universities. So the practical aspect of it, for the longest, has really been a preserve of the TVETs. Now, is plumbing one of those careers that people wake up in the morning and they're thinking, yay, I want to be a plumber? I don't know. Is it the kind of career that I think people should wake up in the morning and say, yay, I want to be a plumber? Yes, because they're jobs, you know? I mean, how many times do you wake up in the morning and then your sink is clogged? And you don't know what to do? You don't think to call the doctor at the hospital. You're thinking, where's a plumber on my phone? You know? And so there's room in that area. There are jobs in that area. So with the universities, that has been the problem, that it has been more theory-based. So that is why you find them, as you're calling it, in the chill zones. Yet there are jobs. So as now plugging that, you know, trying to solve that problem by saying it is good to have the theory, but now we are going to infuse a lot more of the practicals, so that when someone is asking, what am I supposed to do? You don't begin to think, what does the book say? You know what it is. Yes, then you're able to. Yes, practically, because you have done it. You know, you have made the molds for the cabro. So you know how to do the cabro. Yes, you know the theory of it. You know what it is that you need in terms of the measurements to create that, but you can literally do it. Yes.
Now, Prof, back to the point of entrepreneurship. We know that this sector, it's the private sector that grows economy. I wonder, from what you said now, that I know you are so much in the industry, especially when you talk about TVET, skill-based especially, is the environment conducive for private sectors to thrive? We were talking about how the environment is trying to, we're not there, but for graduates, the youth, the government is doing something to at least better the environment. But let's talk about this private sector who are trying to create job opportunities for this youth. Is the environment conducive enough for this sector?
I think that is a challenging question. That the private sector doesn't operate in isolation. It operates, of course, within this environment. And one of the issues that you raised, which not only affects the larger industries, but also the small businesses, is the issue of taxes and all the other hoops that even the private sector has to go through. And if you look at the trend in the past, there are occasions when the environment is in such a way that private businesses thrive, and there are occasions when they don't, So, as I said, that is a difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
But my hope is that, yes, the private sector still continues to thrive because that is one of the areas that is going to help us in solving the problem that we're having with youth unemployment. Yes.
All right. Prof, I want us to invite Sharon Mosin, County Director, Swiss Contact, so that she can just help us pick up from where you've left from, because you've taught us a lot so far about TVET and what it can possibly do to solve the youth unemployment. Karibu sana, Sharon.
Thank you so much.
Need traffic?
Now I've been in traffic for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
That's Kiambu Road for you, but we're happy that you've made it to the conversation. And the question of the day we were asking this morning, Sharon.
Right.
Can TVET private sector partnership solve youth unemployment in the country? What do you think?
Absolutely. It can, but then it has to be designed in a way that it addresses the private sector labor needs. In many cases, we have so many students, 500,000 to 1 million graduating every year. And you ask yourself, why is it that no one is taking them on? It's because there's a disconnect between what is being taught in school and what the employers need. So definitely there has to be a connection between the employers and the schools to bridge that gap. Yeah.
When you talk about what there is in the private sector, what is needed in the private sector to also just bring in the youth to be able to be accommodated in the private sector, what are these needs that you see maybe the private sector are looking into, so much that maybe even as the youth are in school, before they graduate, then they know that the private sector that they're getting into needs 1, 2, 3 for them to be accommodated into those sectors?
Yeah. So the way our education system has been until this point is it has been always supply driven. So it's you go to school, you're taught what you're taught, and you hope to get a job at the end of it. But for you to be assured that upon graduation you're going to get a job, then the things that you need to be taught need to come from the private sector itself. So the things that you're talking about, when you go to school, you need to know what is required. You can only achieve that if the private sector is involved in designing a curriculum for the schools, right? Because then they can embed what they require as an industry to be taught for their labor force. Because if we look at it from the demand side and solving for labor issues or labor skills gap within the private sector, then we are designing courses and we are training people for needs that are required or for the skills that are required by the private sector. So saying what are these things that are required, it's really driven by the need of the private sector. And I think that's where we are missing, or we've been missing the mark in our education system. We just, it's supply driven. We are talking about numbers, how many people have been trained, but we are not going further and saying, of these that have been trained, are they employable? And if they are employable, who are they employable with? So you start with who is going to employ them, isn't it? So that as you're training them, you're training for the demand.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is the crisis exactly? Is it a job crisis, or is it a skills mismatch crisis? Skills mismatch or job crisis? What are we trying to solve?
Yes, it is a skills mismatch. Yeah. And because if you address the demand side of skills, then employment becomes a byproduct, right? So your focus should be what is required by industry. Because if you're assured that whoever you're training in school, in TVETs, even in universities, will get employed upon graduation, then you've solved the employment issue. But you can't solve the employment issue if you don't solve for what the industry needs. And that is why in the what we've been doing at Swiss Contact is really working with the private sector, with the industry, to understand what their needs are. Where are they hurting, right? How long do they take to train someone who's already been trained, right? So you graduate your diploma in, can be plumbing, electrical, but then the company still takes about a year to train you, right? So there's a loss in that. And what we are saying is you can be trained on the job, so that from the first day you're starting your schooling, you're also starting your employment journey. So there's no disconnect. And that is what the dual apprenticeship is all about.
This conversation, I was having it online before, we came on live to have this conversation.
Right.
But now the argument is that there is a slow industrial growth, and then also limited job creation in the country, right? So even as we are producing talents, then the job market remains stagnant. Industrial growth is quite slow.
Yeah.
Then they graduate, where are they going?
That's a very good question, and it's a very good observation, because when you think about it, it's funny, someone actually told me, Kenyans can talk the talk, but when it comes to skills, we are lagging behind a little bit. So it's not even in the construction industry alone. I know construction industry is booming, at least in the cities. In Nairobi, you see construction everywhere. We have roads that are being constructed or planned to be constructed. So there's a boom in the construction industry. So that's one facet of it. But you bring a good point. For a private sector model to thrive, we need to have an economy that is thriving overall, right? Because when you look at even the companies that are hiring the apprentices that we've been supporting through the model that we have, it's not enough, right? The companies are, you cannot say they are like the conglomerates. They are SMEs in the national sense, in the international sense. So they could be big in country, but they are still they are still medium enterprises. So to solve the employment issue, it's a skill issue, but also it's an economic issue. So we need enterprises to be thriving so that they can take on more on-job trainers.
So the environment is not quite conducive for that as it stands. What do you think?
Not entirely, but at the same time, just using construction industry as an example, the demand for skill is still high, right? So if we had TVETs training for the right skills, then they would be absorbed, for sure. Right? And that tells you from the program that we have, about 80% get retained in the company. So that tells you something, right? And they take on apprentices every year. Our partners, over 60 companies, take on apprentices every year, and they retain them. So for me, that tells me there is demand for skills. Yeah? So there are several things that need to happen. Solve for stabilizing the economy and catalyzing growth of the economy so that more and more private sector can afford to take on job trainees. Yeah.
Prof, what do you think about that? That, what we are doing is of a supply of talent beyond demand. you know, we're championing for skills, just to have a skills match, and not mismatch.
Yeah.
Then we are oversupplying talents, but then the demand of jobs still quite low and stagnant. What do you think about that?
As she's mentioned, yes, we have all these graduates that we are getting out of the universities and out of the TVETs.
Yeah.
And as even we pointed out earlier, part of the problem is then you hire this person and they are not able to do it.
Yes.
They have the book knowledge, but they don't have the skills. And that is where the problem has been. As I mentioned now, that with the CBE and the focus on practical skills, that is one of the areas that is really critical for us as a nation. And the universities, for example, that is something that we are already doing. We are working with industry and the private sector, as you mentioned, to figure out what is this that you need. And then we are able to now craft our curriculum and craft our training in a way that by the time our student or our graduate gets out in 3 years, in 4 years, in 5 years, that person has a job with your place. But if you're already full, we are saying, yes, you should be able to stand on your own. You should be able to use the skills that you have acquired to make something of yourself. So we are looking at it in that way, two-pronged. That yes, we will help you get a job. We'll help you get the skills to help you get a job if that job is available for you. We'll also help you get the skills for you to start your own business, if that is what you need. And you should also be able to create a job. And you create a job for yourself and several other people. So in that way, then, you don't get out of the university, you don't get out of the TVET institution, and then you're waiting to see if the heavens will help. Yes.
Yeah.
There's an argument that I saw, Prof.
Yes.
That, you know, the whole issue is that we are, you know, there's an oversupply of talent again. So some are saying that should we now tone down on education if there's no results in system, such that we set up, you know, we set up systems that are working to be able to accommodate this, you know, talents that are coming into the market, so that, you know, even if you're doing education, then there will be now a match. That now we need to tone down on education and not necessarily.
When we say toning down,
yes.
when we say toning down on education, what are we saying?
You know, right now
that we have a few people going to school and the rest stay at home, or what? What is this we are talking about when we say we tone down?
You know, the argument was we are talking about STEM and all that, skills,
Yes.
plumbing, the construction industry.
Yes.
Everyone wants to go that direction, but are there industries to accommodate them? They are being taught to be able to go into these industries. Then what if now we tone down on that and have some now go into corporate, we have some now go into, you know, all other industries as opposed to, you know, the technical side? That is the toning down that this conversation was stemming from.
Okay. So I think, I mean, it's a good conversation. And I think it may have resulted from, she says they don't have plumbers, they don't have electricians. Suddenly everybody wants to supply plumbers and electricians for her. And then before you know it, there are 1,000, she only needs 500. But I think the conversation should be more comprehensive. That when we are looking for the plumbers and the electricians for the businesses that she has, these other areas don't stop functioning.
Exactly.
Doctors are still needed in hospitals. Teachers are still needed in schools. We still need people to do farming. We still need, I mean, it is multifaceted. That even when we are having this conversation, I think it is good to acknowledge and say, we are lacking in this particular area, but that doesn't mean that now we turn the entire wave to that area and then we ignore these other places. Yes, that we, I mean, let's be reasonable. That if everybody became a plumber, then suddenly the plumber gets hurt and there's nobody at the hospital to treat the plumber, then what happens? You see.
So there should be...
It's a balance.
Yeah.
It's really a balance. And that is why I think, like with the educational institutions, universities, for example, yes, we will do STEM, but we will also have the social sciences. Yes, we'll have the humanities.
Yeah.
She wants her electricians and her plumbers,
Yeah.
but we will still have teachers. We are still going to have people who are studying history and geography. We will still have doctors and engineers in different areas. So it is really just a balance.
Yeah, and I would add to that that it's not even within the other sectors, not the technical fields.
Yeah.
We have people that are overeducated but underskilled, because whichever sector you're in, you need to be skilled, be it in social sciences. So when we say skilled labor, we are not referring to technical skills alone, like the things that you use your hands with. Because even when you graduate with a degree, for example, in HR, you need to have the skills within that sphere, right? So it's not really about just the technical skills.
Yeah.
It's about across industry. What are we doing to educate and skill people at the same time? Because you can have knowledge, but you don't have the skills.
You can have knowledge, but you don't have the skills.
Yes.
That's a very good point. I'll carry it with me through the rest of the day even as we continue this conversation on our socials. But let's hear what the people are saying. Can TVET private sector partnership solve youth unemployment? Diba, tell us what they say.
Conversation there with Professor Hilda and Sharon there, just giving a very incisive analysis on how the current state of play is in our sector, the labor mismatch skills that is there, retooling, and of course also reskilling that is very pivotal. Right, we have feedback. Let's just listen in to what they have to say. 2 videos are coming up.
Morning Cafe with Debal and Ann. I'm John from Nairobi. TVETs. Education is not the problem. Application is. We have a problem where we are educating too many people at once, but there are no enough measures, structures, mechanisms to make that knowledge useful to the world or to the community at large. Therefore, we might end up setting up 1 million TVETs in 1 million places, but up until we set structures for application, we'll never solve the problem. Secondly, we made universities the holy grail of education, whereby even as people are getting into TVETs, they're not proud of the work they're doing. It's looked at as a punishment. So until we fix that, I believe we'll still have a problem.
Good morning, Team Morning Cafe, hosted by Dbal, Inia, and Annie Odida. My sentiments, the technical and vocational education and training institutes and the private sector partnerships can solve, and they are solving unemployment at a high rate, because when students or youths get the technical skills for different sectors, they are able to innovate their ways of building or making some money-making businesses, or just some structures. Maybe if they are building something, they make up or they innovate something for them to get money and to be hired by that. So that solves unemployment at a very high rate.
Good feedback there. That is the audio. Let's see what is happening also on the visual bit of it on WhatsApp.
Good morning, Team Morning Cafe. I believe that TVET private sector partnerships can solve youth unemployment if and only if they provide skills that align with the current job market. That's all. Bye.
Very incisive. Alignment. Sharon and Professor Hilda, you've heard. Anne, over to you.
Right, alignment, and we've had that feedback on toning down on education. We are educating too many people at once. That's a feedback from John. We had it, but we've addressed it. But Sharon, you came in late, but would love to understand what Propel M model does at Swiss Contact. Just talk to us about that model.
So Propeller, we call it Propeller.
Propeller,
yes,
okay.
So it's Propeller, so it's propelling and accelerating skilling and employment of youth. So Propeller, we launched Propeller in 2021 in partnership with a foundation, a private foundation from Switzerland. It's called Hilti. And I think we got into, targeted at construction industry. And I think we got into construction industry by default because Hilti is a construction company in Switzerland and across Europe, as well as the Americas. And they have a foundation that then supports in social or development interventions across the globe. So one of the things that we did with Hilti is to really look at the system. So the way Swiss Contact works, it's not your typical non-governmental organization. We don't go into a space and say, okay, skills is an issue, let's start training. We sort of take a step back and say, okay, we have TVETs, we have universities, we have schools, people are graduating. So what is the problem? Where is the disconnect? And why isn't the system solving the education system, solving the issue that was set up to solve, right? And so we took a step back and co-designed together with Hilti and started mobilizing the private sector to understand what their needs are. Because if you don't understand the demand side of things, then the supply won't make sense. And that is exactly what we embarked on doing. So once we understood what the demand, which is the private sector, the demand of labor, were lacking, we set out to design a curriculum together with NITA, that is the National Industrial Training Authority, under the Ministry of Labor, because we wanted whatever we are designing and testing, it's also there's an oversight from the regulator, so that when it gets to rolling out, then it's also accredited. So Propeller is really that. It's a demonstration model to show that when private sector leads, the skilling of leads the intervention in skills and training, then we close that gap of the mismatch. So Propeller has been running for 4 years. We are just launching the second phase of the project now, just to sort of scale. And we've trained over 300 apprentices, 75 of whom have been retained by companies, and the other 25 decided to go on self-employment. So the model is very interesting in the case that you spend 75% of the time at the company and 25% at the school. So that's why it's called a dual apprenticeship program. So 3 weeks in a month, you are with the company, on-job training, and 1 week you are at school. And from the get-go, like when you get enrolled, day one, right? So before you even get enrolled, you have one of the potential companies interviewing you for a job, and the school also, you're going through the interview for intake to the school. So from the first day of your schooling, you have an admission letter with a TVET, and you have an employment contract. So there is no lag between you finish school and then you look for a job. You're employed from the first day you start schooling. And with that, then you are truly immersed in employment. You start learning about the the culture of the company you're working with. And with that, then also for the company, it's a saving, because when they decide to retain this person, there's no period of training, as opposed to when you get someone who's just graduated with a diploma or a degree, then you have to train them again. And even for that person, they would have spent 3 years, 4 years at a university, but they've come out with theoretical knowledge. They don't have the skills that you require.
All right, Sharon, that's quite a catch, but so that we don't leave our viewers hanging, how can they access you if they have questions? Because you are employed from the very first point, or from the time you get into school, you're employed. Then how can they contact you for that conversation?
Yes, we have our.
This is your camera.
Yes. All right. So you can write to us on swisscontactkenya.org, or just info@swisscontact.org. You will get us there.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Hilda Omai, DVC Administration, Finance and Planning at Meru University. Asante sana for making time and for braving was it raining where you came from? It was raining here in the morning. So asante sana. And of course to you too, Sharon, for, a bit traffic.
2 hours.
Good job. Thank you for coming, County Director, Swiss Contact, for this conversation on youth unemployment. Once again, the question you're asking, can TVET private sector partnership solve youth unemployment? Let's continue on our socials. TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 Digital. Keep sending your voice notes and your videos at 0793-267-279, and we'll be sure to pick it up from there next time. Diba, what's your takeaway?
Wow, so very incisive conversation you've had there. And I was just saying, where was Sharon? When, you know, we had that lag of 2 years before you go to campus. You remember those days when we dialed back the time machine? Yeah. But a very good salutary effort that you're putting forward in just making sure that this discrepancy and the mentality that has been there between TVET and degrees, you know, all that is now is collapsing. But, you know, your paper is your skills that really matters. Where we are heading now, it's not really about the strength of your paper, which university you're coming from. No, it is about what can you do.
If you can do the job,
What are you bringing to the table?
You're hired.
All right,
you're hired.
That brings us to the end of this conversation and to the end of the show today. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early. My name is Anne Odida.
My name is Dibala Nair.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Have a lovely day.
Good morning.